Welcome to the Contrarians, where we are right and you are wrong. I'm Julio.
And I'm Alex. Here on the show, we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. For the first half of each episode, Contrarians Corner, we trash the fresh red tomatoes and praise the rotten green splotches, making our case any way we can.
The aptly titled Real Talk serves as the second half of each episode. This is where we discuss our true feelings on the movie we're covering. For more information on our podcast and to browse past episodes, you can head over to our website, wearethecontrarians.com.
From there, you can also access our Patreon and merchandise, because capitalism.
If you enjoy our attempts at comedic film discussions, we encourage you to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you use.
If you'd like to reach out to us directly, that's what social media is for. You can find us on most platforms as @ContrarianPrime.
You can also see what we look like if you go to youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime, and you can contact us by email at wearethecontrarians@gmail.com.
I think that covers it.
Then it's time for the podcast. And we are recording for Contrarians Corner for Conan the Barbarian. Please note, this is a 1980s version.
Well, yes, 82, and then Conan the Conqueror, Conan the Destroyer was the same year as the Terminator. So a big year for one Arnie Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, well, I was making the clarification because there's a more recent Conan with Jason Momoa.
Okay, so I was reading about that. First of all, hello and welcome back to the Contrarians. Welcome back to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. My name is Alex, joined as always by my Peruvian counterpart, Julio. I would be lying. Julio's largely had the same haircut the entire time I've known him. I would be lying if I said I wasn't curious what he would look like with the long hair that James Earl Jones has in this movie. But yes, there was a remake, and I was trying to figure out if I remembered this at all, because it would have been still when we were working together at the theater. And yeah, it stars Jason Momoa. It's 2011, so that's before he was Jason Momoa, right?
Right. I'm trying to think, what was it that made him Jason Momoa, right? I think it might have been Game of Thrones, because he was on the first season of Game of Thrones playing one of the main characters. I know that's how I came to know him. But then, that before that, he'd been on TV shows. I think he was in one of the Stargates. And so, I mean, he was kind of a cult figure. But obviously now he's a superstar. Now everybody knows who Jason Momoa is.
Yes. And, obviously he's in the DC universe of films. But yeah, it was Conan the Barbarian 3D, directed by Contrarian's favorite, Marcus Nispel.
Oh, man.
Yes. So
must track it down.
I guess so. It's under 2 hours, so it's got that going for it. It was a box office flop on a budget of $90 million, only bringing home 60.
Man, I can't wait to appreciate in this spell cinematography. That shot from behind Conan with his tight jeans, he's walking up the mountain.
That was not the case with this film, as being a flop. That is, as on a $20 million budget, it brought in somewhere between $70 and $80 million. And look, we can't say this is the film that launched Arnold Schwarzenegger, because it's not, but it's one of his early outings, and it's something that I think a lot of people that know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is and have a grasp on his life story and career, they're not too far away from thinking of him in the Conan garb. So an important movie for Arnold, even if it wasn't the one that made him a household name.
Give him a little bit of a runway so he didn't jump in cold to Terminator.
Exactly. A young James Cameron watching this going, okay, if we just make him not talk.
Maybe replace those swords with guns.
And tighten that up to a crew cut. All right, Julio. What are we looking at here on Rotten Tomatoes? I guess I didn't even check.
67% fresh. It's like right there. It's not even certified fresh, but it is still a red tomato. Round and juicy. The sample pool is not super deep either. It's about 40 reviews or so, but still it is fresh. So that means that we're going to nitpick it, which, should be fun. This comes to us, by the way, courtesy of patron John Aminta from The Pint. Really Yeah, he didn't really give us much in the way of an argument. He just said, well, I'm feeling like swords and sandals. So how about Conan the Barbarian? And I was like, that's fine. I don't remember anything about it. I was looking through Letterboxd, and apparently I rated it 3 stars, but no review or anything. And I'm thinking that's just me rating the very, very vague memory of watching it when I was a kid, because I couldn't have told you anything about this movie. Well, there's a couple of things I remembered, but for the most part, it was a first-time watch. How about you, Alex? What did you know about Conan?
As far as the lore of Conan the Barbarian, we'll talk about that in real talk, but my knowledge of this was it was on TV a lot when I was a kid, and I would just watch it with no real grasp of what was going on, and I didn't remember anything. I certainly didn't remember that fucking James Earl Jones is a snake. He just turns into a snake. Stuff like that I remember, but I remember TNT, maybe there's some channel that used to do kind of regular, like annual Arnold marathons, and this was one of them that was on it. Artistically and visually, I should say, the poster for this movie and its sequel are amongst some of the more copied source materials of the 80s and 90s when trying to make, the cover of a knockoff comic or a video game to catch your eye. Battle Axe, was that the game for TurboGrafx? Yes, I remember the cover of that looking strikingly similar to what Conan's going for here. So
no, wait, Golden Axe, Alex.
Golden Axe, thank you. Yes, I was Googling it in real time, and I was like, Battle Axe, what the fuck is this? Golden Axe, just that big, chiseled, ripped dude. I mean, the fucking poster of this movie is Arnold with the sword, pecs just fucking pluming out, and it's got kind of that thing where there's the frame around the illustration of the poster, but his sword is going past the frame.
Yeah.
So it's great. So that's kind of my memories. I have no real nostalgia to speak of. This isn't like the Terminator where I can remember the first time watching it. It's just something I've always had, on the periphery. So tonight would have been definitely my first viewing where I was paying close attention to things going on.
But you at least knew that this was not a prequel to Barbarian, the Justin Long vehicle from a few years ago.
Yes, I was aware.
Okay.
I guess I didn't pay close enough attention, though, because I'm stunned to realize right now that Max von Sydow is in this movie.
Really? You didn't recognize him?
I didn't. I was watching it, but I had a little dish of pasta I was working on, so I guess that kind of took over.
I mean, he has like one scene and he's not exercising anybody, so
I Googled a picture of him and I was like, oh, yeah, that is him.
I think it's appropriate, the comparison to Barbarian, only in the sense that one of Arnold's buddies in this movie looks like Justin Long when Justin Long grows a mustache.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I was like, hey, there is a connection there. I will tell you this. The word barbarian, this movie made me second guess what I thought it meant. Because in my mind, when you say something is barbaric, right, it just means that it's kind of uncivilized. And that kind of fits the Conan character up to a point. But then, not to spoil the ending for everybody, but he grows up to become a king.
It's true.
I guess that makes sense because, it's like Conan the Barbarian, and the next one he's a destroyer. And then if there had been one more, he would have been like, I don't know, Conan the civilized ruler of Samaria.
Conan the Obama.
Yeah, there you go. We didn't get there, though. Not enough violence.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
Well, anyway, this is, like I said, fresh. So I got some fresh quotes, Alex. Are you ready for them?
I am.
We usually, Alex, save Roger Ebert for the last quote, but today I wanted to open with Roger Ebert because his quote made me laugh. Roger Ebert from Chicago Sun-Times says, "Not since Bambi's mother was killed has there been a cannier movie for kids than Conan the Barbarian." What is Roger Ebert talking about? Is this PG?
I don't know.
It's not, right? It's rated R.
Oh, yeah, it's a hard R.
Why is he saying that this is for kids?
There's nudity and intense violence.
It's a lot of sex.
There is a lot of sex. That is true.
It's a lot of snakes. Yeah, I don't know. Roger, did you watch the TV cut? It's just like 30 minutes of Conan's adventures. Next, Luke Y. Thompson from the New Times says, balls to the wall swordplay flicks don't get much better than this. Obviously, a friend of the pod, Peter Jackson, would have a couple things to say about that statement. But maybe this was a review from before The Lord of the Rings. Dude, you've seen the Lord of the Rings movies, right, Alex?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen Return of the King all the way through. But yeah, yes, I have knowledge of them.
I mean, to say that things don't get much better than Conan the Barbarian in a world where the Lord of the Rings trilogies exist, even if you don't like them necessarily, but you kind of have to acknowledge that they took what Conan was doing and then kicked it up a notch.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. This movie didn't have Orlando Bloom anyway, so it was always going to lose.
Or Liv Tyler, Jesus. Next, Kevin Carr from 7M Pictures says essential 80s cinema with some amazing elements, including the unflinching violence for the time and the brilliant score by Basil Poledouris. This score, Alex, doesn't quit. It goes
forever. It just, if Conan's taking a piss, you can bet that there's score going on behind him. It's the movie's trying so hard to convince you that it's epic. Did you get tired of it?
No, I remember in our Jaws episode way back in the day in Contrarians Corner commenting that the score was leading a bit too whimsically into what was going on. And here, I think it complements Arnold and his journey. But yes, it is omnipresent.
Yeah, they're afraid of silence in this movie. We're like, please, just fill up those gaps. We're going to close with Fernando F. Croce from Cinepassion, who says, visualizing Robert E. Howard's creation in the midst of the Reagan era is an offer the auteur can't refuse. What was going on with critics around this time, Alex? They were just making random associations when critiquing this movie. The Reagan era? What is this?
Something we're still paying for? Or suffering from, I guess I should say.
Is James Earl Jones supposed to be Reagan?
I would hope not.
I think at this point it's worth pointing out that one of the writers in this movie is Oliver Stone. So
this is true, yes. But like Conan the Barbarian, the character was created in the 30s. So I don't know. I mean, you can apply anything to anything can be analogous or allegorical, I guess I should say. But I don't know. That would be weird because now when we watch stuff, almost anything, we watch it through the lens of, oh, is this supposed to be political?
Yeah.
I guess in the 80s that would have applied as well because obviously the country was divided pretty heavily then too.
Yeah, but what is it? I don't see any sort of political message here unless you really want to. See, that's the
problem. There's no like village uprising. It's just Conan kicking ass. So maybe it's like he's supposed to be Reagan.
Oh, okay. That's true.
Oliver Stone and John Milius were like, fuck yeah, wreck shop, Ronnie.
That's why the final shot of the movie is him, just sitting on his throne, finally ready to govern the United States of America. Well, that was the last quote, Alex. Let's go to Contrarians Corner.
Oh, and to close the loop, Golden Axe is accurate. The game I was thinking of for the Turbo graphics was Legendary Axe, which I had both Legendary Axe and Legendary Axe 2. For those not familiar with the Turbo graphics, it was quite the console in the 80s. I believe it was a counter to the Nintendo, the original Nintendo. But anyway, both, yes, the box art is very Conan-esque.
Fire and wind come from the sky, from the gods of the sky. But Crumb is your god. Crumb, and he lives in the earth.
All right. A blacksmith forges a sword and shows it to his young son, Conan. It's not Conan O'Brien. A blacksmith forges a sword and shows it to his young son, Conan, as he tells him the riddle of steel, a tale of the importance of steel to their people, the Cimmerians. A band of raiders led by cult leader Thulsa Doom. This is
Mufasa.
James Earl Jones. Yeah, Mufasa, Darth Vader. Take your pick. Old Man Myrtle. Massacres the Sumerian village, killing Conan's parents. The children are taken as slaves to work at a large mill, the Wheel of Pain. Conan survives into adulthood, becoming a powerfully muscled gladiator, and eventually gains his freedom. He is chased by wild dogs and seeks refuge in an Atlantean warrior's tomb, from which he takes an ancient sword. Conan wanders the world, betting a prophetic witch and befriending Sobotai, a thief and archer. So, a lot going on here in the beginning. James Earl Jones shows up, fucking beheads Conan's mom while he's holding her hand.
He fakes her out, makes it look like he's going to spare her life. And then I wish that this had shocked me, Alex, but I was still recovering from the shock of, as you alluded to earlier, James Earl Jones' horrible helmet hair, which he keeps for the rest of the movie.
Important to go ahead and get this out of the way because this is a bit of a long boy, Julio. It's over 2 hours long. A lot of slow motion, a lot of taking our time to get where we're going here. And as impactful as it may seem, the beheading sequence here takes forever to get where we're going. Yeah. And once it does, she falls in slow motion. And I will say the kid here who plays Conan as a child doesn't really get any lines, but at least he's like, he understands the assignment. Some people are good at acting in slow motion. This little kid, he somehow pulls it off.
He was very disappointed when he found out that he doesn't get to play Conan for the rest of the movie. It's like this was his one moment, and then they kicked him out so that Schwarzenegger could step in.
Yeah, he was like a real brat. He was like, well, who's going to do it better than me? And then like Arnold steps on set and he's like, all right, I get it.
It's fascinating to see that the way that you work, the way that you become Arnold Schwarzenegger, according to this movie, is just through slavery and just going in a circle, pushing this wheel. Before any of this, Alex, you know what colored the entire movie for me? Made it really hard for me to take it seriously, even before I saw James Earl Jones's hairdo, is that it opens with a quote that anytime I see Nisha on writing, I would think of Steve Carell in Little Miss Sunshine. Mm-hmm. The way that he says Nisha every time. So we open with a quote from Nisha, which is like, that which does not kill you makes you stronger, which I guess is the closest we're going to get to some sort of through line in this movie. And I was like, Nisha, like Steve Carell. I was giggling through the entire massacre of Conan's village.
Nietzsche?
Yeah.
You're taking a vow of silence because of Friedrich Nietzsche?
I mean, maybe Arnold took a vow of silence too, because did you notice how long we go before he even says anything?
Yes, but it's not the first audible thing from him, because we get a lot of Arnold sounds in this movie.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? That type of shit. Because he's fucking fighting in the Rancor pit with all these different slaves, and I guess it's a battle to the death. It's basically like a pit fighter that they're all going at it there, and it's like this montage where each time he's armed with something additional.
Yep.
And by the end of it, he's like this unbeatable force.
But his moaning and groaning doesn't get any better. Is this John Milius dropping the ball? Like, really, he goes so loud with the practical effects, set in, the sets and all that stuff, and he really can't get a decent Foley guy that's going to dub over Arnold's pretty pathetic groaning, because it took me out of the movie. He sounded like if Robot Chicken was doing a Conan parody, and you just do the Arnold sounds that are parody. But you're supposed to be taking it seriously, and you can't, because he's doing exactly what you just did. I'm not even going to try to repeat it, but yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and we get this montage of like his training and how he's like studded out to the local women. It's very odd.
Yeah, he's the star of a peep show.
Yes, the whole time I'm just kind of wondering, how is this, preparing him for battle? But it was a different time, Julio.
I guess so. Yeah, that was part of becoming a man. I guess you had to have sex while the rest of the battalion watched. It's so weird too, because at first the way that scene's staged is I guess he's living in a cage or something, and they bring a woman to him, and she's naked, like they take like the cloak from her, and then at first he's kind of gentle and he puts the cloak back on her, and I was like, oh, this is cool. They're telling us that he is respectful. Like I was thinking, I even went like further. I projected. I was like, oh, he's thinking of his mother, right? That's why he's so respectful. And well, no, all he was doing was walking her to the bed, and then he goes and they have sex and everybody's watching. I was like, oh, all right. Well, then I guess I was way off about how Conan feels about sex. But I'll tell you this, he doesn't look anywhere near as happy having sex as he does when he's just playing with a sword.
Yeah, and my God, Arnold would become an action star, but some of these shots of him like twirling his sword and whatnot, it looks like a little kid playing.
They spent the entire opening credits making that sword, and he's just reminds me of me playing with my He-Man toys.
Yes, I don't know if the prop is rubber or what it is, but it's like wiggling when he's like brandishing it as well. He's slicing it through the air, and it looks like a fucking wet noodle. It's I mean, I can't betray my moralistic stance of practical effects, yay, but come on, guys, help me out here.
Yeah, make it hard plastic at least, so that it looks okay from on the wide shots. Why do they let him go? I can figure that out. He's a slave. He's kind of like their starfighter. And then one day, the redhead dude just breaks his chains and tells him, get out of here.
I took it as like he won his freedom from killing so many others, but, that could be incorrect.
But then they send the dogs after him.
It's the final test.
Oh, what sick game are they playing?
Yeah, when he ends up in that cave, too, he stumbles across the skeleton with a sword, and the skeleton's like embedded into this throne that's like calcified to the cave wall. It's actually pretty fucking metal, not gonna lie.
It's weird that I could tell, and I knew in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, Alex is gonna be loving this because you can tell that everything is like real, right? Mm-hmm. But I was thinking the contrast between this cave and some of the other sets we're gonna see as the movie goes on, and the horrendous green screen that you get at the beginning when he's talking to his dad.
Very weird. That, yeah.
Right? Like all those clouds in the back. Why would you do that?
Why not just have him around like a campfire or something?
Right. Because they're just having this sort of intimate conversation. He's telling him about steel and the riddle of steel. Like it's an important thing, and you can't focus because there's just these Commodore 64 clouds in the background. It's just it's bad. But okay, so we're like maybe, it takes about 25 minutes, 30 minutes for Conan to be a free man. And the entire time he's just been by himself. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that we're going to spend 2+ hours with green Schwarzenegger, before he developed the charisma. And so I was happy that he eventually gets a sidekick. And then he gets another one. What do you make of this thief? The one I dubbed Justin Long with the mustache.
Yeah, it's good that he gets a second. Before we move on to that real quick, yes, I did mention that he ends up inadvertently betting a witch. That part's pretty intense because it's this good-looking gal, Siren on the Water type, just welcomes him into her den, and then they get right down to business and gets intense, but then, she tries to fucking, like, kill him, and he throws her in the fire. If you don't know what's coming, it's pretty unexpected.
But yeah. Shouldn't he have been a little weary of the fact that this woman was like, all right, I'll give you information, but we have to have sex? That's a red flag.
It was a different time,
Oh, that was the currency.
Subotai, his second here, not high on charisma, I would say, but man, when you're next to Green Arnold, you're going to shine no matter what.
Yeah, he can at least deliver lines. Would you say his sword wielding is better than Arnold's?
He definitely, practiced quite a bit, you can tell.
Yeah, he's an archer, so, he has those Legolas vibes. Yeah, I was relieved. I was like, all right, well, this I can handle maybe, just a little bit of banter. And I knew that in the future, somebody else was going to join. This movie is narrated by a character that doesn't show up until halfway through the movie.
Oh, yes. When the movie begins, my first note is ambiguous narration. You're like, okay, well, this definitely isn't Arnold. Who is this? And then, you're just kind of waiting to figure out, is this person going to show up? Or, kind of expect at the end of, how do I know? Well, that's a tale for a different time.
Is it Oliver Stone doing the narration?
Following the witch's advice, Conan and Subutai go to the city of Zamora to seek out Doom. There they meet Valeria, a female brigand. The three raid the Tower of Serpents, slaying a giant snake and looting the jewels and other valuables it's guarded. After escaping with their loot, the thieves celebrate and Conan has sex with Valeria. Of course. The city guards capture the trio and bring them to King Osric. This is Max von Sydow, who offers them a reward if they rescue his daughter, Princess Yasmina, who has become a cultist of Doom. Subutai and Valeria demur, but Conan, who is already desiring vengeance against Doom, sets off for the villain's Temple of Set. So we have a team now, Julio.
Yes. I was like, finally, a little bit of the feminine touch that this movie was lacking. She teases Conan.
And
teases,
immediately has sex with Arnold.
Yes. It's okay. How long are we seeing them have sex? Is this over several nights? Because they start with just sex, and then by the end they're in love, right? She's cradling his head, and so is this over the span of a night, just like an epic session of lovemaking, or are we seeing them have sex over a week or so?
We need the clock on the wall that just is spinning like, really fast, or the calendar where the page a day calendar where it's just getting ripped off. Yeah.
Like that scene in Twilight New Moon, was it when the camera's spinning around Kristen Stewart and you know that the months are passing. I liked Valeria. I think that the movie doesn't like her as much as I do, but I was happy with the addition of a badass woman here that kind of holds her own. I would say sometimes even as much or more than Conan himself. And,
it feels like the movie betrays her when she's the first to go.
Yeah. And it doesn't even mean much. I mean, we'll get there, but I was happy that Conan had a girlfriend and now he had a best friend. And the one thing that was bothering me was I thought that he was driven by vengeance, but instead he steals the jewels from James Earl Jones's people, and then he kind of forgets about it and goes and parties. And it takes the exorcist, Max von Sydow, like recruiting him to rescue his daughter to really remind him, oh yeah, that's right, they killed my mom, so I wanna kill them too.
It's important for me to call out that somewhere along the way here, Arnold punches a camel in the face.
Yeah, what was that?
Awesome. Animal abuse. There's also like a shoot elephant that just is chilling at one point. So I was like, hell yeah.
But Arnold doesn't punch the elephant. He knows how far he can go.
He knows better. Disguised as a priest. This is, we get Arnold wearing a robe at this point. He finds one of the followers and is like, hey, come over here. I need to talk to you about something. And then just blasts him and wears his robe. It was a real missed opportunity, though, for the comedy of the robe being too small, where it's just kind of like ripping around his muscles.
Why does he leave his people behind? As proven by what happens next, that was the wrong move. Don't you think that Valeria would have understood if he had said, I know she didn't want him to go. And instead of him sitting down and having a conversation with her where he explains to her that they killed his mom, so he needs revenge, he just sneaks away in the middle of the night like a coward.
Yeah, it's not a well thought out game plan at all. So I don't know what to tell you, man.
It's Conan the Barbarian, not Conan the mastermind.
The linguist. Yeah.
Conan the Diplomat. That was the fifth movie.
Conan the Master Strategist, yeah. He infiltrates the temple, but is discovered, captured, and tortured. Doom lectures him on the power of the flesh over steel, which he demonstrates by hypnotically commanding a young woman cultist to leap to her death. He has Conan crucified at the Tree of Woe. So also he killed this big snake we mentioned a minute ago. It was like this comically large snake. And there was the one guard, not unlike the guard in Return of the Jedi, who's really attached to the Rancor. That was quite sad that the snake died. But yeah, he has Arnold crucified, during which Arnold tries to eat a vulture.
Conan the Resourceful.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, that's how you get whatever digestive sickness you would get from eating a raw bird. I guess he didn't have many choices. Alex, we're talking about how Arnold doesn't really talk until late in the movie, but I think it's even a more egregious crime that James Earl Jones doesn't talk until we finally get to this sequence where he captures Arnold and then gives him the whole speech about why he is James Earl Jones and he's awesome. And he basically says that he's figured out the riddle of steel, and the riddle is that steel doesn't kill people, people kill people.
What is steel compared to the hand that wields it?
So the power is in his flesh, not in the weapons that he wields. I was like, what? Can we just stick with this guy and see what else happens with James Earl Jones? Because that conversation, he was so eloquent, was a lot more captivating than anything else that had been said in the previous hour of the movie.
The movie does seem pretty diligent in not letting them go toe-to-toe from an acting perspective. I mean, there is the one moment where I think there's two moments where they actually kind of go at it from an acting perspective, but wouldn't you agree it's best that they kept him apart for as long as possible?
Yeah, it's best that Arnold was too beaten up to really retort anything while James Earl Jones was speechifying. But it works on both ways, Alex, because I also, while I was watching it, I'm like, how are we going to make this the final battle, like the climatic sword fight at the end? Because James Earl Jones he's a great actor. He has the voice, the presence, but he doesn't look like somebody that can hold his own against Arnold in a fight, like an actual fight. And I'm like, this movie that is all violence, I mean, there's no way that this movie doesn't end without Arnold fighting James Earl Jones, right? Sword in hand, shield on the other arm, maybe. And I was like, how are we going to get to this? Like, I don't buy it. James Earl Jones is a man of words. Who later becomes a snake. But at the time, I was like, what the fuck is going to happen? So to say that I was already bracing myself for disappointment once we get to that final fight, and I was still disappointed even when I was ready for it.
Subotai and Valeria rescue the near-dead Conan and bring him to Akiro, the Wizard of the Mounds, and also the film's narrator. There you go, Julio. He lives on a burial site of warriors and kings. The wizard summons spirits to heal Conan and warns that they will extract a heavy toll, which Valeria is willing to pay. The spirits try to abduct Conan, but he is restored to health after Valeria and Subotai fend them off. So yeah, there's like demons and shit trying to take his body. It's like this is where most of the budget went for the visual effects in this sequence.
A damn shame, because they look pretty terrible. Why couldn't you have just demons, like dudes in costumes, trying to, like, floating around in cables?
Like the putties from Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, just running up. But instead, we have like these red spirits and lightning and shit like that.
Yeah, the centerpiece anyway is the fact that they wrap Arnold like a sausage. Like there's an Arnold sausage in the middle of this campground, and they draw signs on him, and it's just like, it's a whole production. I think that's really, they should have learned from a future movie, from the Blair Witch Project, where this would have been a lot scarier if everything just goes dark and then you just hear the demons scraping around and Valeria and the other dude just screaming for help. And then when it's all over, it's like, oh, we survived. And then Arnold unwraps himself. It's like a tamal.
Look, I know we were a ways off from this, but he couldn't have stood up and just said, I'm back,
Instead, we gotta have a hard cut to him playing with his sword again, and he no longer has all the inscriptions that they put on through his entire body. And I'm like, man, I could have used a shot of Arnold just scrubbing his whole body at the river, just trying to get all that shit that they wrote on him.
Tell me about Akiro, Julio. This was played by Mako Iwamasu, I believe is the pronunciation there. Apologies if not. But yeah, he's the wizard that kind of... this isn't our first meeting with him in this movie, but he comes to save the day here. And not only is he the narrator of the movie, but when he's like actually present with our characters, he's basically the conscience of the film.
Yeah. Arnold gets really sad at some point, and this dude, the wizard, comes up to him and points at the sky and goes, "She lives in you." I had Rafiki in the head the entire time, maybe because of James Earl Jones's voice. But the moment that this dude shows up and he's a wacky, mystic character that actually has powers, I thought it was just all going to be that he was eccentric, but apparently he has enough powers to, summon demons and bring Arnold back to life. And I was like, yeah, it's the Lion King again. You can't avoid the comparison. I like him. I think that, again, maybe everybody in this movie benefits from sharing the screen with Arnold, because everybody seems so much more seasoned than him.
It's true.
So you're like, oh, these guys, they know exactly what to do in front of the camera. They're hitting their marks. They have comedic timing. They can deliver dialogue. But I don't feel bad kind of pointing out that Arnold is subpar in this movie, because he goes on to be incredibly successful. So I would hope that he'll be able to have a laugh at his performance and its deficiencies in this movie.
Bit of an understatement. Yeah, he goes on to exemplify the American dream in a way that's probably as good as any you'll ever find. But here, acting he hadn't quite sharpened that sword yet, if you will. Subotai and Valeria agree to help Conan complete King Osric's quest and infiltrate the Temple of Set as the cult indulges in a cannibalistic orgy. The thieves attack and flee with the princess, but Doom shoots Valeria with a magical snake arrow and escapes Conan by transforming into a large serpent. Yes, that happens. Because there's a part where it goes to James Earl Jones's face, which is clearly like a dummy head. And it's like, that's not a real person. And then it cuts away, and then it cuts back to him. It's like, he's a snake now? And again, I had familiarity with this movie, no recollection of that whatsoever, and you are not prepared for it when it comes.
Were you disappointed that we didn't get an Arnold versus James Earl Jones, the snake version? That was not the ending of the movie?
Absolutely. That writes itself right there, man.
Like, he literally becomes a snake to escape, and that's it. He doesn't use, and for that matter, I think he only uses the snake arrow twice. Once to kill Valeria, and the other time,
well, we have to introduce it so we know how deadly it is, and then we have to block it because we know it could kill somebody.
But if you had the power to shoot snake arrows, wouldn't that just be all you do?
Yeah, and he takes way too long to set it up so people know what's coming.
This orgy that's going on in the Snake Palace, Alex, I was happy that the archer acknowledged it. He was like, "Is this heaven?" I think that's what he says. Everybody seems to be having a good time. Why would you take the Max von Sydow's daughter away from here? Everybody's having a blast.
Gold and booze and orgy.
Some weird soup that has human parts in it.
I mean, why not? When in Rome.
Yeah, don't knock it till you try it.
So this is paradise.
These fights go on forever.
This movie goes on forever.
That's why I took issue with the quote that said that this was the best that had ever been done. I was like, disagree. It's the entire movie, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit ago, that it goes on for a while, and there's a lot of slow motion, and there's a lot of shots of people riding and moving from one place to another, and it reminded me of speaking of Lord of the Rings, in the second Clerks movie. Kevin Smith has a pretty long joke about the Lord of the Rings movies and how they're basically people walking. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna go to Mordor, and then 3 movies of them walking, then throwing the ring in the fire, and then walking back. And that's what this felt. This was just so much of Conan the Barbarian is them walking or riding a horse to a destination. Once we get there, there's just a somewhat rudimentary action scene, and then we're back to riding on the horses. So the only thing that kept me not on the edge of my seat, but kind of interested, was that I was afraid that we were going to get to a part where somebody died, like somebody that mattered. And so I'm like, it's going to be the archer, or it's going to be Valeria. It's not going to be the wizard, because he's telling the story. So of course we know that he's alive, and obviously it's not going to be Schwarzenegger. So were you concerned, Alex? Were you feeling that we're about to lose somebody as the story went on? We're getting closer to the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, once it became a trio, I was like, all right, someone's definitely dying to, up the stakes for Arnold here. I was kind of bummed it was Valeria. It doesn't help this movie's cause that women are just there for Arnold's pleasure, nothing more.
He doesn't even cry, Alex.
He doesn't. What a way to go. Get shot by a snake arrow. And then Valeria here, who's the actress that portrays her? It's Sandal Bergman. And man, she eats up the scenery like so much ice cream when she is dying. I'm so cold. She nails that. Let me breathe my final breath into your mouth. She goes for it here.
Yeah. The least she could be allowed, since the movie really wastes her death. I thought it was really weak because you can still kill her, but have it mean something, right? This is what I thought was going to happen, because the movie has established that Conan is driven by vengeance, which is a bad thing. So I thought that what was going to happen is they have the princess, right? Von Sydow's daughter. They're escaping, but then Conan can't help himself and decides to double back to kill, or to try to kill James Earl Jones, right? Because the vengeance. And it's like, so if he hadn't done that, maybe they would all escape. And so Valeria dies trying to save him because James Earl Jones was going to kill him. I'm like, okay, that would make sense. You know, she sacrifices herself in that way, but it's just such a random death. They're already out there writing, and it's just so that we can see what the Snake era does.
It looks so like Beetlejuice also. It's black and white, and it when he pulls it out, it recoils and then he throws it away. It's
James Earl Jones is not even naked, right? Because you would think that he lost his clothing when he became a snake.
Like the Terminator.
Yeah.
To transport, he's got to be naked. Takes everything.
Hold me. Kiss me.
Doom shoots Valeria with a magic snake arrow and escapes Conan by transforming into a large serpent. Valeria dies in Conan's arms, acknowledging the toll that the wizard warned would be exacted in exchange for Conan's life. Conan cremates her at the mounds and prepares Subutai and the wizard to battle Doom. Conan prays to Crom. Julio, who's Crom?
Is Crom the guy that was the skeleton that was embedded in the throne underneath?
He makes kind of reference to that. I wasn't sure if that's was supposed to be exactly taken literally, but Crom is the Sumerian god. I didn't know if he was like thanking him for finding the sword there, or it could be. That could have been Crom. I guess you're right.
I mean, I don't know. The religious beliefs of Conan are kind of all over the place. Here in this thing, he is pretty defiant to Crom, right? He says, he gives him the version of like, I never ask you for anything, so please help me prevail. But if you don't help me, fuck you. That's not how you pray.
He does say, yeah, grant me revenge, and if not, the hell with you or something. Yeah. I never believed anyway.
Crom was like, excuse me?
He asked the Sumerian god to grant him revenge. By using booby traps and exploiting their terrain, they managed to slay Doom's warriors. Just when Doom's Lieutenant Rexor is about to overcome Conan, Valeria reappears for a brief moment as a Valkyrie to save him from the mortal blow. Doom shoots another snake arrow at the princess to deny the heroes a successful rescue, but Subutai blocks the shot with his shield, and Doom retreats to his temple. Conan kills Rexor and recovers his father's sword, now broken by his Atlantean sword.
Oh, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out why it was so important. Like he takes a big moment, like looking at the sword, and I had completely forgotten that was his dad's sword. Did you remember that?
Yeah, that's why when it broke, I was like, oh man, what was all this for?
I completely forgot. I thought that they maybe it gets pretty confusing in this climax. So I thought that maybe Valeria had left her angel sword, back there, and that's what he was looking at. It was like, huh. What do you make of this, Alex? Valeria showing up as an angel?
Why not? With where we're at this point in the movie, it fits right in.
Wouldn't it make more sense though for her to show up when he's fighting somebody that's important? Like she intervenes when he's fighting one of the seconds,
one of the henchmen, right?
When he's fighting James Earl Jones.
Well, spoiler alert, that's not much of a fight.
Yes.
This part is this is the video game where like the penultimate boss battle is significantly harder than the final one.
Yeah,
Metal Gear Solid,
guys.
when you fight Metal Gear Rex, and then afterwards you just have to have like a fist fight with Liquid Snake. It's just not as tantalizing.
Yeah, it goes on for a while. They kind of, I don't think that this movie paints the Doom army, the Snake army, as particularly formidable foes. There is like at least 50 of them, if not more, and 3 dudes managed to get the best of them. They home alone them, Alex. They set up traps.
They do.
They keep like jumping behind boulders, striking them with corpses that are propped up. It was kind of embarrassing. I was like, man, really? You can't give me a big giant snake fight, but you will give me this? Insulting.
They'd blown the budget by this point.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. If you pay attention, it's the same two soldiers over and over getting killed.
With the aid of the princess now freed from Doom's sway, Conan sneaks back to the temple and confronts Doom in front of his cultists. Doom attempts to entrance him, but the barbarian resists and uses his father's sword to behead his nemesis. Unlike his mother, who just takes one good whack and it's off, he has to hack off James Earl Jones's head here. It's fucking revolting. With Doom's spell broken, the disillusioned cultists disperse. Conan burns down the temple and leaves to return the princess to her father. Yeah, it is pretty funny. It's Road Trip, where the Jacob character founds a cult and he tries to lead a mass suicide. And Tom, do you remember this? Tom Green's doing the narrating, and he's like, well, Jacob drank the Kool-Aid and then everyone else just kind of changed their mind. And it shows him dead on the ground and everyone else just walking away. That's what happens here, though. These people watch their god get his head fucking hacked off, and then the spell leaves them and they're all just like, all right, well, let's go to Chili's.
How distracting was it, Alex, to hear the voice of Darth Vader telling somebody else that he's their son?
Good call.
Arnold goes, no, that's impossible.
That's impossible. Yeah, it's brutally violent, and he throws his head down on the steps, and the sound it makes is just it's very gross. Okay,
but are you telling me you were not missing a close-up of the James Earl Jones head bouncing down the stairs?
Yeah, or into a dumpster like Julius and Jason Takes Manhattan.
This is really a letdown, Alex. Very anticlimactic.
It literally ends with scrolling text that sounds so much cooler than everything we just saw.
He goes on to have better adventures, trust us. They don't even do you think that they couldn't get Max von Sydow back to shoot the reunion with his daughter?
He was 4 hours. That's all you get. And it took him 2 to get him in makeup.
And then Arnold couldn't remember his lines. Yeah, don't tell me that James Earl Jones can turn into a giant snake and then don't have him turn into a giant snake in the final fight. That's the fuck out of here. But also, okay, so we end, there's a text and then there's the shot. It's not like a still, right? It's not a freeze frame. It's
just Arnold sitting still while they slowly pan out. And he's got a fake beard on and shit.
A crown of sorts. He looks more badass than he has the entire movie. It's like, give me that movie. Give me the movie where Arnold has to talk to Parliament, do treaties with other countries. They say it throughout the movie that he would go on to become king. And my thought was, how? This guy is going to become king? He can barely talk. He's fighting. It's okay. I mean, even if you said, okay, he becomes king because he's the most badass out of all of them. I'm like, I don't know, man. I would give it to Valeria before I give it to him. Major letdown. Does this movie end, Alex, and makes you wonder, okay, I want to watch Conan the Destroyer now?
It would if this had been promised anywhere in the previous, over 2 hours. But at this point, I was just ready for it to be over. And I'm like, all right, well, too bad.
I will tell you, as we transition into real talk, that before I watched Conan the Barbarian, when I was a child on TV, I did catch Conan the Destroyer in theaters, which, back then in Peru, they would arrive I've said it before, 10 years later. But I remember seeing Conan the Destroyer in theaters. And at the time I was like, man, I would watch anything in theaters and love it. So my memory of Conan the Destroyer is that I thought it was an amazing movie. And then when I finally go around to watching Conan the Barbarian on TV, I'm like, this is kind of boring. So I am kind of curious.
The Destroyer is all action?
I think so. But of course, I was a child, so it may be terrible too.
Fair call.
Yeah, I think that maybe it moves a little faster than this movie.
It's almost a half hour shorter, so it's got that going for it.
There you go. Yeah. But anyway, that was Conan the Barbarian. Are you ready for real talk?
Let's move along to real talk.